I've been living down the road in Athens for 35 years, teaching philosophy at the University of Georgia. Now I've decided to run for Congress because I think our nation as a whole has failed to recognize and enforce the social rights without which we cannot curtail the increasing inequality of our nation and defend ourselves against the threats to our democracy. Now, I've been called the first, by The Nation magazine, the first candidate for Congress in favor of a federal job guarantee, guaranteeing jobs to anyone who wants one. I've also been called a traditional Democrat by the head of the Newton County Democrats. And he called me a traditional Democrat because, in a sense, I'm going back to the call that FDR made in his famous 1944 final address to Congress, where he said our nation cannot simply rely upon our Constitution. We need a new Bill of Rights that will guarantee everyone a job at a decent wage, that will guarantee everyone affordable housing, that will guarantee everyone health care, that will guarantee everyone education at all levels, that will guarantee everyone the means to care for their families and pursue their careers, that will guarantee everyone access to culture. These rights, which are enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, have fallen on deaf ears in our own country. And at the very end of his life, Martin Luther King called anew in his Poor People's Campaign for resuscitating the fight for these rights. Now, I want to bring that fight back here. I want to start with the true right to work, with a federal job guarantee that will be transformative for all those struggling to find employment. It will shut down the school to prison pipeline. It will put a brake on our mass incarceration. It will relieve the fear that stalks everyone in every workplace, where fear of firing prevents people from fighting against sexual harassment, against racial discrimination, against corporate abuse, against exercising their rights to organize. We need also to think about not only eliminating unemployment, but wiping out poverty once and for all, and wiping out poverty wages, with not just a living wage, which is another recipe for being nickeled and dimed, but a fair wage that takes into account productivity gains, which means we start at least $20 an hour and up. And on this basis, we can also think about evening the playing field between employer and employee, with bold measures of employee empowerment, requiring corporate boards to have half their measures drawn from employees, requiring collective bargaining in workplaces. And then we can fix the relationship between work and family with free public child care, free public elder care, benefits of involving paid family leave. And on that basis, we can fix education. We can have a healthcare system, a single-payer healthcare with no co-pays, no deductibles, that will keep people healthy. Now, yesterday, I spent the day campaigning with Adi Barkan, an activist who's worked both in the labor movement, and he's now head of an organization for popular democracy. He has ALS, he's wheelchair bound, he's in very deteriorating health, but he was excited to join my campaign because he feels this measure, this raising the issue of wiping out unemployment with a guaranteed job is crucial to the renewal of our democracy. And we went around meeting with community groups. We had a labor union forum with members from 4 or 5 different unions. We went canvassing, first in a trailer park whose inhabitants were all whites, most of whom identified themselves as Republicans. And Adi was struck by the fact that our canvassing was the most successful he had ever seen, in that more than 80% of the people I spoke to signed on to vote for me because I'm standing up for guaranteed jobs, I'm standing up for fair wages and employee empowerment. And when I went to a housing project populated primarily by African Americans, the results were even greater. At least 95% of the people signed on to vote for me, precisely for the very same reasons. This bold agenda is a road to victory. We can win back all those people who have deserted the Democratic Party because the party has forgotten what it used to stand for. We can renew that struggle again. This is a fateful year. We can be pioneers in our nation and transform our political discourse. And what I'm advancing is beginning to catch on. Kirsten Gillibrand, who is planning to run for president, has come out for a federal job guarantee There are a few other people beginning to do so as well. There are a whole battery of economists showing its practicality, how it pays for itself. The time is now for us to begin electing a Congress that stands for the social rights we as a nation have neglected, with which we can wipe out the continuing shameful inequalities of black and white and men and women. Thank you.